David, good afternoon. Do I have the time zones correct?
I'm on Pacific, 12:45 here.
Okay, good afternoon. So, two-parter. How are you? And does anyone get to call you Dave or are you David to everybody?
That's funny. Um, I'm doing good actually.
Sure.
Yeah, sunny California. It's beautiful weather here. And as far as Dave goes, yeah, I also do these God's Not Dead franchise. We did that. And
Oh, yeah.
and for the first two movies, they would call me Dave, and no one ever called me Dave. My grandfather's name was Dave, and I was like, no, no, no. So I finally changed it for the next three movies. I was David then, and I was like, never again. I
So
don't need that.
never Diamond Dave or anything like that. It's
Never Diamond Dave.
okay. Well, thank you for taking the time. A Line of Fire is the new movie. And as always, not just on camera, but making it happen behind the scenes as well. Was this a particularly difficult film for you to make?
Um, yes, I think every movie is difficult in a lot of ways. It's there's the, it's a whole group of people trying to put them together and get amazing people in the process of it, and hopefully you create something good. And with this one, I feel like we really did. I'm proud of it.
Is there any of you in the Cash character or vice versa? Are there any similarities? Because obviously we know faith-based man, businessman who gets things done, but acting is acting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's about a dad who has two daughters. So, AKA that's me. I have two daughters in real life as well. Those two daughters that are in the movie are actually my real daughters, which is kind of sweet. And they do a great job of it. So I think the similarities probably stop at that point. I didn't ever go into the FBI in real life, nor did I retire from the FBI. But I do fight crime on my off days, and that is that's close to in the movie.
So what kind of research is needed for an FBI related role like that?
Yeah, I mean, in this movie, because of the action element to it, I think it's more on the action side. I mean, I have a boxing and kickboxing instructor that I train with quite frequently, and so
Mhm.
it was fun to bring that element into the movie. Um, and uh, And as far as being like, from the FBI standpoint, I'm just always fascinated with, I love government agencies in some ways, but I think, the corruption runs rampant other times. You hear so many stories, and why not delve into that a little bit and explore it? And I think it's fun to watch.
I'm asking as a licensed investigator when it
Oh,
comes to the prep work. If you went, okay, I'm going to learn what skip traces are and go that route, or if it's just more, we'll get the weapons training, we got the script, and that's good enough.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to say that I learned about all of the other things, but yeah, we definitely, the weapons is we've been doing that for quite a while. And as far as the physicality aspect, we've been doing that as well. So, but the FBI, yeah, no, I did not go to FBI. I did not do a deep dive into the training of I talked to some FBI guys, but that was probably the extent of it.
We'll save that for the sequel. You're not afraid of sequels. Kudos to you for that. So great cast otherwise. Do you remember who was first on board besides yourself with this film?
Yeah. Well, Cuba Gooding Jr. came in pretty early in the process, which was cool. And then Scott Baio came in not that far along, in it as well. He both live in Miami, so that made it easy. We were going to shoot. Well, I mean, Scott lives actually closer to Tampa area, but
Mhm.
both live in Florida, and we were shooting in Miami, so that made it nice, and it was cool that they were both there. But yeah, those and Katrina Bowden came on pretty easy, like early on. I think it was just a testament to the script, what Matt Shapiro and Chris Covell had done with the script, that they really, worked on it a lot and made it fun. It's fun and it's a romp and hopefully believable in some ways. But not too believable because we don't want, everybody to stress out at the end of it.
Sure. So going back to you, focusing on you here, the first film that you produced was over 25 years ago. When you started producing movies, was it out of necessity and desperation because, hey, you got to make something happen? Or was it all on the game plan to have this career like you have between the producing and PureFlix?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I started out as an actor through my 20s, and then I think what you
Evening
find is,
Shade, of course, yes.
yeah, from Evening Shade, yeah, with Burt Reynolds, and I somewhere along the way, you make enough money to not have to work another job, but you have a lot of time on your hands. And so when we discovered, what led us into producing originally was I had always had the vision of it, and the idea that I wanted to do it, but I thought I wanted to do it later in my life. And so I didn't think that by late 20s I would be going into it so fast. But we found a niche in the faith-based world that didn't exist. Like the faith-based industry really didn't exist in my late 20s. And we just thought, well, hey, you know what? Me and a buddy of mine, Kevin Downs, we should, I don't think we were entirely thinking establish a whole genre, but we were definitely the front runners of this thing that started, and we did actually have the vision that someday the studios would have faith-based labels, which in turn they did 20 some years later. So, um, yeah, I think that was the movement into producing, and then it just led that I love stories and I love the idea of being able to not just be an actor, but to be on the other side of the whole process of it. I find more fascinating than just getting a script and showing up on set, somebody else's set.
Sure. With PureFlix, we've also seen movement into sitcoms, not just traditional films and all that. What was the original direction of PureFlix? Was it just a one or two things and seeing if it was going to work, or did all along you had a 5 to 10 year plan?
Kevin and I had actually produced several faith-based movies, and then we realized that wow, there's not only this hole in the marketplace, but also there's a hole in the distribution because the studios weren't really taking the faith-based uh, movies at that time, and there were a lot of other producers out there doing these movies, and then they couldn't find a home, and so PureFlix really was a place that was like just set up to, hey, if we have our own distribution, then we can at least help other people as well as ourselves put the things into the marketplace, and not be restricted by whether or not a studio is going to take this or not take this. And that really was the setup of PureFlix, and we established that in 2005, me and my partners, and yeah, and then obviously we sold it to Sony at the end of 2015 or end of 2020.
So to recap, there's this new film, there's what you've done with PureFlix, you're still producing movies 25 years later. For most people, they would have retired already 10 years or so ago. You're not. IMDb shows a couple more movies which you're starring in. Are you allowed to say what's next?
Yeah, I mean, I do it because of the love of it. I love to tell stories, and I hope that these stories radiate with people who are watching them, and they're the type of movies that I love as well, and so I get behind them, and so yeah, A Line of Fire I think is that way. I think definitely people will. It's a fun watch, and at the same time, it has a lot of heart into it as
Mhm.
well. There's a romance, and it's about a dad just trying to raise his kids, and obviously, when the bad guys come in, he's got to take care of all the bad guys. So that's fun. And yeah, just finished a movie called Straight Shot, and that's hopefully will be out next year.
Straight Shot, is that more action thriller oriented?
It's actually not thriller, it's more action, just action is what it is. It's just a straight action movie.
And the usual team, you on camera and behind the camera on that one as well?
Yeah, yeah. And then I worked with a different director that I've worked with over the years, and we have an amazing cast in that one too. That's from Dolph Lundgren to Tyrese Gibson to Rachel Lee Cook. The whole lot of people in that one too. So, but right now, just want to direct people to A Line of Fire. Please go watch that.
So, two quick questions, then I'll let you go. The first one is you mentioned that Florida is where this film was made. Are most of the things you're filming these days you're finding to be in Florida, North Carolina, Louisiana, generally the South?
Well, A Line of Fire was made in Los Angeles and Florida. It was LA and Miami based is where it was. Just because it kind of took place there and it made sense there. A lot of times, yeah, we shoot in, you shoot in rebate states.
Rebate
So I
states.
mean, that's
Nice.
kind of what it is. It's,
Yeah.
back in the day, it was always you would go to LA, New York, or Chicago, right? But as the years have progressed and the states, are helping filmmakers, um, yeah, now we find ourselves. I just came from South Carolina shooting, so we've shot quite a few times in South Carolina, and they've always been really good to us.
Last question. Nobody really goes to you for music questions. I'm going to go to you for a music question here. What's the last concert that you went to for fun?
Wow, that is quite a that's quite a. I mean, I'm trying to think of. I haven't been to a concert in a while, to be honest. I feel like the last one I saw was Journey in Las Vegas.
Was that
Uh,
with Toto?
who's Toto? Is that the lead singer?
Toto was another group who had a lot of hits in the
Oh,
80s.
no, no, no. This was just Journey. It was just in it was just it didn't have any openers or anything, and nobody else was playing at that one. So it wasn't like a festival. Yeah, it was just Journey, and I had learned. I didn't realize at that time about the guy from the Philippines who was the lead singer.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, looking at all the old guys up there and going, "Wait a second, who's the guy singing? Because he sounds just like the original." And for whatever reason, I didn't put the two and two together. Now there's an amazing. I mean, there's a few years back, there was an amazing documentary about that story, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Arnel
very
Pineda is great, and I'm
yeah.
glad you got to see him live. Well, David, not Dave, David, thank you for your time. Congrats on A Line of Fire. Looking forward to all the future ones. And thank you for being an inspiration for independent film and believing in your own vision and actually making things happen.
Ah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'll leave this with everybody is that dream that's inside of you, pursue it, There's always a million other times in your life that you can have a regular job and you got to obviously make ends meet, but at the same time, don't forget about the vision and the dream that you have and my first movie, little movie called The Moment After, and we shot it, and whatever for 80 grand. So, you never know where it's going to lead.
And everyone probably made 30x on that film for their investment.
It did pretty good.
Paltrocast.